Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you in another video. All right, piggybacking somebody else's information as I always try to do. With Tea Leaf, man, Ticket TV posted something, and he gave us some information in regards to the Phoenix Suns having interest in Kyrie Irving, and what they're willing to do is part ways with Chris Paul's albatross of a contract in exchange for Kyrie Irving's expiring contract. They will happily take Kyrie Irving off of the Brooklyn Nets. And reluctantly part ways with Chris Paul. You know, it's actually brilliant. When you really consider it, this is absolutely the right move for the Phoenix Suns. Don't get it twisted. I'm a Laker fan, but if I'm the GM of the Phoenix Suns and I can do this has to happen. I'm sorry, that's happened for the Suns. It's not in my best interest at all as a Laker fan, but if you're them, that's a necessity because at the end of the day, you want to get the hell up out from under that contract. And if Kyrie Irving is somebody you're not intending to resign, you don't care. That's the problem. You don't care. Do you know why you don't care? Because the years on Chris Paul's contract versus the year on Kyrie's contract makes that something that doesn't matter. I mean, even if you have to absorb that loss, it's a lesser loss than having to hold on to Chris Paul's contract for multiple years. This is deja vu. It feels like I've had this conversation in regards to Chris Paul in a different era about in the same way. It seems almost as if it was the same players too. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but it seems like we've been here before with one of Chris Paul's contracts. But nevertheless, here we are. This makes sense, man. This makes sense, Laker fans. I'm worried. Because the thing about it, Kyrie can very well say, I'm not going to play. And I can very well say, respectfully, thanks. I don't care. Because what I need you to do is come off the books. That's what I need you to do. Come off them damn books. And so we can have that free couple of years to give to whoever Phoenix wants to target. Maybe even Kyrie Irving if he wants to come back. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So this is dangerous, Lakers. This is dangerous. Because if the Phoenix Suns are willing to give him the bag that he's looking for, we're out. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. So this is a situation where if I'm Kyrie Irving, I love the Lakers, but you know, that Phoenix bag is there. It's there. And playing with Devin Booker ain't the worst thing in the world. Obviously, they're not going to want to. I don't know what, Ayton, I'm not really certain what his outlook is in regards to that place. Obviously, if you're going to make a deal like this, you might actually see more pieces moved. If Phoenix is looking to acquire Kyrie Irving, why the heck wouldn't they be looking to acquire Kevin Durant as well, given the fact that that was placed on his list? So this could be a situation where you might be seeing something unprecedented take place right now between Phoenix and Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Lakers, and this is what happens when you mortgage your future, Lakers. Then when you get in situations like this, other teams be like, nah, here's the finger, and we got a better package. Bye. And it's like, yo, the fans are sitting here like, how did this happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Mortgaging your future and not having the assets to do it. Over flooding the market, and then from there, finding yourself with enemies that don't want to do business with you. Hiring people that they may have enemies with as well. These type of things, man. People just hate you. And then you got to look at the Kyrie side of things. It's like, he also made some people hate him. Now in Brooklyn, now don't want to send him to the Lakers. They'd like to do anything but send him where he wants to go. So now it's like, okay, they can go back to the Lakers and say, give me Austin Reeves, give me Max Christie, give me two unprotected. It gives them all the leverage to put us in a position to choose either to do this or not. As to which we're going to not. If it goes to a situation where the price tag gets too high and they start acting like they have leverage they don't have, it's just going to lead us to the end of the trade clock for obviously the trade deadline that's coming up over here within 4 days. So, Phoenix, I got to admit, man, I don't know who's the GM over there. Last I checked, it was James Jones. If he pulls this off, man, he's executive here. That's the move. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting Chris Paul off your books. And even though we all know Chris Paul's an amazing player, that's a contract that has 3 years left on it. And at this level, he hasn't even played much this year. I don't think he's going to have a resurgence. It's going to have him go back to the level where he's going to be able to be that guy. So it's going to be a bad contract that he's going to, no one's going to buy him out. So they're just going to play him. But you got to deal with him missing 50 games a year. So for me, it's like, I personally would not want to acquire that contract if I'm Brooklyn. But Brooklyn doesn't evaluate talent very well. And they're very spiteful. And this is Josiah we're talking about. And as far as I can tell, he really don't care too much about winning. at all. He's more so interested in being spiteful. But what I would tell him is, you're sending him somewhere that could potentially look to re-sign him. Even though everybody's saying they ain't going to re-sign him, once he gets there and starts playing well, it's not like they're not going to fall in love with the player. And Phoenix could win the championship. You think they're going to let one of their best pieces leave? Nah. They're going to re-sign him. So all this talk about, oh, we're not going to re-sign him, if he goes to Dallas, I don't think that's going to work out. I told you guys earlier, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to work. But Phoenix, they have new ownership, man. Who knows? Who knows? That's the point. It ain't Sarver. It's a brand new ownership, and they may really have a different type of plan. So it's like, good luck. Sometimes when new regimes come in, they have solutions to the problems that have been there forever. This is why I want the Lakers to consider what's in front of us when we see this. Sometimes you may not know what to do, but the other guys that are coming in that you're going to hire tomorrow, they know exactly what to do. And when you see a team hired or come in with a new regime or what have you like that, and you see the moves that they make, it's like, yo, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, that was the problem. And there's a solution right there, and they found it real quick. But it's like, you got to have somebody in place that's really got it like that. And sometimes it takes time for things to manifest, but sometimes that's also due to who's in place. So I'm just looking at this Chris Paul thing. I'm like, dang, man, we might have really just got Chris Paul again. You know what I mean? Like, but this time Chris Paul would be blocking us from getting Kyrie. So I think this puts the Lakers in a position where they're pretty much, it's up to Brooklyn to see this the way the rest of us are going to see this, which is Chris Paul is not a desired piece, and his contract is crazy. You look ridiculous doing this. My problem is Brooklyn's ridiculous. They really are. They're honestly one of the most ridiculous franchises in the league. So this is something they can actually do. As to where if this were like Sam Presti or the Utah Jazz over there with Danny Ainge, you don't expect that. They're not going to do that. But those guys, especially given the circumstances and how much they hate Kyrie and how he just basically said, get me up out of here and put them on the clock again, you know what I mean? Just like KD did last time. It's like, they mad at everybody. They're probably mad at KD again because this reminds them of what they went through with KD. So, like, this is a mess. And if they could send both of them to one single place, I think that makes sense for the Brooklyn Nets. And so, I don't know if they acquire Chris Paul. But if they're in a position to where they can send both KD and Kyrie out to the Phoenix Suns, maybe they can find a third place for Chris Paul and get back something they're looking for. But that's something that they would have to be considering. And who they would have to find who would want to take that contract, which I don't know who else other than them would even target that thing and trade for any reason right now. So it's like, it's a situation where it's like, look, let's see how spiteful they are. Let's see how spiteful the Brooklyn Nets are. Obviously, Chris Paul is going to be going into a situation where he would be playing with Kevin Durant. You play those two players together. Isn't that what he wanted when he was thinking about going to Phoenix to play with him? I think Devin Booker was a part of that as well. He wouldn't be. So it ain't the same dynamic, especially with Brooklyn being as they are. And so Claxton's there. They're a playoff team if he can stay healthy. But winning anything? Of course they're not winning anything. So, Brooklyn is, I hope for their fans' sake, they can just follow suit with what Phoenix has done. You see how changing the regime and ownership exodus has done wonders for the Phoenix Suns so quickly. At least with them targeting a deal like this, you can see very well they can make a deal like this for a different player if for some reason they get outbid Kyrie Irving. The point is they're trying to find a place for Chris Paul, and I think they may be able to pull it off. And so that's a huge thing for them to get out from under that contract. So that's what it is, Lakers. Hopefully the Brooklyn Nets aren't this stubborn, I guess is the word I'll use, for lack of worse words, Hopefully they're not this stubborn. But I have a feeling they are. I genuinely think they are. They are very much this stubborn. And the presence of Chris Paul being a part of it would be just this thorn in the Lakers' side and the thorn in the LeBron side that I think they would want to, shove. I think they would want to do that, the Brooklyn Nets, to all of us. To LeBron for not coming there, to the Lakers for just being us, and letting Kyle Kuzma turn into what he did off of the pick that we traded him for. I don't know why the hell they kept doing stuff like that. But anyway, and then from there, just everything that has happened since, and really, I look at the situation with Kyrie Irving is the main part. They just really would like to rather not send him where he wants to go, in my humble opinion. And they know he wants to be a Laker, So that's what I think. I really think. I hope I'm wrong. It's a rather pessimistic thought for some of those people who want Kyrie to be here. It might be a rather positive thought for those who are hoping we pass on Kyrie Irving. But at the end of the day, if we do pass on Kyrie Irving, we had better find a place for Russell Westbrook, because this situation is severed for sure. And I don't know that we have a whole lot of leverage in regards to trading him because of it. But what I am encouraged by is both Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook are out tonight. So my gut tells me that unless Brooklyn is actually dumb enough to really do this, the Lakers will be able to get Kyrie Irving. That's what I'm here to say. After all of that pessimism, I'm here to tell you, I just can't actually see them trading him for Chris Paul's contract, knowing how Chris Paul's performed as of late and how little he's played. I don't think they see that as a piece. But then again, they're doing things in a different kind of way. And if they truly evaluate talent so poorly as to trade a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal and actually be pleased with doing so, then maybe they would trade Kyrie Irving's expiring contract for 3 years of Chris Paul and whatever he's going to give us at this age. Ooh, Brooklyn fans, let me tell you, man, if you do this, you're in the toilet, because that is not a retradable contract in my humble opinion. Heck, I don't even know how Phoenix is going to get up from under this thing. I'm just telling you, it looks like they're strategizing the right way and think that they're barking up the right tree in regards to. But I think about it. I'm like, who wouldn't want to take on Chris Paul's contract other than him, even in any other situation? You'd have to unload picks in order to get rid of that thing, in my opinion. I don't think Phoenix has any picks. So this would be the best way, in my humble opinion, for them to do so, which is why it seems so brilliant to me. This is a way for them to do it without giving up picks. Since the idea is to block the Lakers, they'd probably give them a discount to do it. See what I'm saying? Hence the Chris Paul contract itself. So I know there will be more in the deal, a lot more in the deal. Like, that ain't going to be all you see there. There'll be other teams involved in any deal involving Kyrie Irving and or Chris Paul. But it seems to me they're trying to phase the Lakers out of it if the tea leaves are that way, or the information is being released to us so that it'll have that type of effect, which is, it is what it is. It's that time of year. So you got to expect that with everything released. Everything. So, yeah, that's what's going on, man. I'm curious about the buyout market, too. Not as much is being spoken of in regards to players that could be bought out. And I think the buyout market might be interesting. I think the buyout market might be interesting. Picture a world where they can't get a deal for KD, and he sits out and promises to never play for them again. Like, this is me brainstorming, but, like, I just don't know where this is headed. I don't know where a lot of this is headed, man. As bad as this Brooklyn team could be if they don't get the right return for what it is that they have, could potentially put KD in this position that is rather uncomfortable to end this season. And while playing on a team to end the season was no problem if you're expiring, if you know your outlook is to be on that team going forward, you want to at least know that they are going to be able to do some things to make the team better the next year. Now, oftentimes teams do. Some miraculous way, they just hop up on a player that comes out of nowhere and they ball out, or guys take leaps. Maybe they make a good trade some miraculous way. But you don't really see that path right now for the Brooklyn Nets. You don't see it. So as I look at what KD's trying to assess with the rest of his contract, being stuck there for the rest of his career doesn't seem reasonable when he would be so comfortable for a team like Golden State. You know what I mean? When you consider what they got going on, I just really believe there should be nothing keeping them from getting him and pairing. Look, and I'm going to say it like this: pairing Kevin Durant with Steph Curry and Jordan Poole. I'm just gonna say it like that. There should be nothing keeping them from pairing Kevin Durant with Steph Curry and Jordan Poole, because at the end of the day, as much as I'm a Klay fan, you're gonna have to move more than just Draymond Green if you want that team to be where they need to be going forward. The salary, and you can do Wiggins if you want. Do Wiggins if you want. Maybe it makes you feel better. I don't think that makes you a better team. With where I see Klay Thompson headed, he's probably going to play somewhere else anyway. We know he's got his eyes on the Lakers. We know he's got his eyes on other situations because he's been frustrated in Golden State for the last year or so. So I don't know if he wants to retire there. He probably does. But for what they got going on, you got to choose a timeline. And the only real timeline to choose is Steph Curry's. That's the only one to choose. And at the end of the day, you've already paid Jordan Poole. So unless you're going to move him, which I'm sure you can get a hell of a return on him, but probably not the one that his contract is worth based on how he's performed this year. Nobody wants to trade a young player that talented. Uh, Golden State is in a space where they should probably be looking to make some moves over the next couple of days. They should be doing that. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some names you don't expect to see moved based on what's possible. Based on what's possible. You know what I mean? Some teams need to get better, and they got cold feet. Their mantras keep them from making the decisions that help them, actually. And they're going to stand their own way, and they're going to lose because of it. But it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't have to happen. And I think some GMs know that it doesn't have to happen. And some of them are probably ready to do something. You don't know who they are. You don't know who they are. Trade deadline trades can be iffy. You know what I mean? Especially since the price tag on a lot of players can be better in the offseason. When right before, the draft picks can be extremely valuable. When you start to know where players are roughly going to be drafted after the lottery, so to speak, that's when around the time when you really want to start seeing where everything is priced. You know what I mean? As you got a chance to look at players in the playoffs and stuff like that, it really gives you an understanding of how you want to do it in that way. Although price tags can be actually better when players are playing, because at least you get a look at them, see them live. So I don't know. However you look at it, I think when you have a bunch of picks in situations like that, you can definitely probably move them better in offseason. So at any rate, here we are. We're waiting on the trade deadline to come. Hopefully Kyrie Irving can be a Laker. As a fan of the Lakers, that's all I've been rooting for the whole time. But I will have to admit that Phoenix Suns situation, if I were a Phoenix Suns fan, that would be the thing. That would be the thing. Like, get Chris Paul out of here. Bring us a younger talent. Obviously acquire a guy like Kyrie Irving to pair next to Devin Booker and just destroy people. Like, absolutely destroy people. So that's another thing. Can they win there? If they find a way to keep Mikal Bridges, and Devin Booker obviously would be there. I would want Ayton to stay. I don't know if you can get him to stay, depending on what it is that they're doing. But I think they could build something really special around Devin Booker and Kyrie Irving if they can keep Mikal Bridges and somehow having strong center position if they let go of DeAndre Ayton. They could do something. Those are two killers. You got to pick your poison. It's just about them staying healthy. So, if you're a Laker fan, that's your worst nightmare, because that pulls you away from being a contender and creates another contender that you have to contend with. So that would kill our season. Whatever move we would make, I guarantee you, we would have trouble based on the fact that that's another contender. And Phoenix is a contender, I guess you can say, but because that Chris Paul piece is not actually being the Chris Paul piece right now, you bring Kyrie Irving, it's a problem. It is a problem. And so it is what it is, man. I think everybody knows what's up now. LeBron James, if you got some leverage, push a button, block something, tell somebody they ain't gonna get something. Whatever they gotta do, we gotta cheat the game. They're gonna cheat the game, we gotta cheat them. Brooklyn, I can assure you, you ain't gonna get neither one of LeBron's kids to play on that team. Keep acting like this, they ain't gonna even look in your way 10, 12 years from now when they free agents. They ain't even looking your way. Wade either. We gonna pull all our friends in on this. So that's how I feel about that, man. Brooklyn, y'all better do things right. So that's where I'm at, man. Look for another team to try to jump in and do something too, man. Kyrie Irving is a covetable piece. A lot of them have cold feet, but they know. A lot of these their scouts and their coaches are probably telling them, please get involved here. Because at the end of the day, whether they think Kyrie's the greatest guy or not, they know what he can bring to the table. And he's the piece that's going to get a lot of teams over the hump if he's acquired. No matter what the role would be, if you have that weapon and you utilize him properly, it's night-night. It is absolutely night-night on most teams. So that's what I'm looking at, man. That's what I'm looking at. If I'm a GM with a team, I'm telling you, don't have me be the GM of a certain team with a bunch of young players, something like that. I'm going to try to put my foot in the water, see if I can acquire him without giving up any of those young players. So if I bring him to the right situation, could turn a young team into a contender immediately. So that's where my head went, man. That's exactly where my head is gone. This Los Angeles Lakers team needs to give up probably more than they want to in order to acquire him now. And I don't know how Jeannie feels about that. I just don't know, fan base. Um, Based on what I've seen. And then again, it's not just her. We got to think about the entirety of the conglomerate that is the Knights of the Round Table, Laker fans, which means everybody that would be chiming in on Laker business. So I guess it would be myself included. And if you want my opinion, I think we should try to refrain from throwing in both Austin Reeves and Max Christie in any deals. If you have to lose one of them, that's one thing. If you have to lose both of them, I don't know if you should actually do that. I don't think you should actually do that. And the reason why I say that is because what I understand is you're already going to probably throw in those picks, and you're going to throw in those two young players. Those are probably your two most attractive young pieces. So that means you're giving away whatever their upside would be. And while you don't know if you're going to resign any of them, which is always a thing, with Max Christie being a young player, you got his bird rights. Obviously, Austin Reeves, same thing. And you're giving up first rounders. When you look at what those players will probably be 7-8 years from now, you're going to be slapping yourself for ever giving that up for any expiring contract. And so that's what I know. And I know that the people who are asking us to do that know that too, and they want to punish us. So we got to understand that we're paying a Laker tax, but the Laker tax is going to be inflated based on all parties involved. So you don't want to kick your own backside in trying to make a move just because everybody's trying to force you to not make a move. You got to assess if all things considered make the most sense for you. And that's what it really comes down to if you're an organization. And when other organizations they're not thinking that way as they trade, it's almost like you don't really want to do business with them if you think like me. So that's also in the way. It's like, y'all gonna try to fleece me? I don't need to be in a marketplace with you. And so that's why I shouldn't be the Lakers GM at all right now. But it is what it is, man. If people want to put real price tags on things and put fair prices on things, then we'll have a good balanced market. But when people don't do that, you see the market explode like it has been. So that is also something to consider, Phoenix. You sending Chris Paul's 3 huge big contract to Brooklyn for Kyrie Irving's expiring contract, it's going to have a reaction to the market. It's going to be similar to the Rudy Gobert thing. So I just want to let people know that's also how that goes. If they don't send the right equity pieces to make that balance out to make sense, which they likely won't, if they're going to do it this way, that's a market locking mechanism. So that's something that the NBA should probably consider when allowing something like this to happen in the damn first place. At any rate, it is what it is, man. That's my opinion. I'm going to leave you guys with that. My name is BDF44.